Hi everyone, it's Richard. I'm with kcmbtv today over here for the Hunger and the Haunt at the Culture Lab LIC. It's going to be an evening of a lot of performances. I'm very excited to see what's in store for us. I'm actually tabling outside with Case as well, but aside from that, let's focus on the performance for what we're doing over here today.
Hi, my name is Abigail Chang. I'm a Chinese opera singer here based in Queens. This event is a theatrical song recital and community resource fair at Culture Lab LIC in Long Island City. The purpose of the event is building community in Queens in general, and so it's a combination of performances with Asian American artists and community organizations who support Asian Americans and Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders in Queens. And so the inspiration of this event is around my own experience with finding community in Queens. It's a wonderfully diverse part of New York City, and it's been a great experience to work with all of these other Asian American artists and get to know all of the work that's already being done by CASE and other organizations.
And, tell us a little bit more about, I guess, the performance, right? There's the artistic part of it. What are some themes and elements that we should be looking for and expecting for tonight?
It's a theatrical song recital, which means that there are a number of classical songs for voice and piano, as well as solo piano pieces that have been curated into a program all by Asian American composers. Themes to look for are searching for a sense of belonging, friendship, finding your own identity. There's going to be a mixture of these classical songs as well as dance and movement. There's going to be a featured sound loop artist. There's lots of interdisciplinary work happening.
With all the other performers, how did you get to know them, or how did you guys all get together? If you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So the performers are me. I'll be singing. There's a dancer, Marie Lloyd Paspa, and a pianist, Amber Scherer. And the three of us got together. I connected with Marie because we had worked together previously on other operas, and I connected with Amber through friends of friends, and we've been collaborating for the last few months and have had just a wonderful time getting to know each other and really finding deep trust in this work.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now, this is a bit of a more jokey question, but is this a type of sing-along, or is it like a clap-along? Like, what should the audience participation, if at all, look like? You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. I would say less audience participation and more like spookiness involved. Yeah, there's some fantasy, some mystery, some intrigue, maybe things being revealed.
Gotcha. Okay, so I guess that touches upon a question I've had. It's called The Hunger and the Hunt. Now, I think of, is this like a Thanksgiving, Halloween kind of theme thing? That's what I'm thinking. Like, I love Thanksgiving food, but I'm like, hunt, like Halloween, Thanksgiving, they're close together. Is that a theme that I should be looking for, or am I just reading way into it? Also, I haven't eaten anything all day, so I am thinking about the hunger part.
Absolutely, understood. I would say definitely there's a Halloween theme in there. The Hunger and the Haunt title actually comes from an episode from season 1 of True Detective, where Matthew McConaughey says, "Everybody wears their hunger and their haunt." And to me, that quote is about we all have things that we crave, that we desire, and things that we carry with us, our burdens. And so what happens when we put them on the table and try to figure them out?
Well, I guess knowing the origins, all I can really say is, all right, all right, all right. All right, well, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the performances today.
Thank you very much. Me too.
My full name actually is Amber Jinmi Sher. I'm half Korean, actually. My mom is Korean. And so I first met Abby, the singer, at our undergrad. We went to Oberlin, but we didn't really run in the same circles. And so now we're in New York City and kind of met each other serendipitously. And she asked if I would do this interdisciplinary project with her. And I was really down for it, partly because it's very out of my comfort zone. I'm a classical pianist. I went to Oberlin and I studied piano and also psychology there. And then I moved to New York and I did my master's at Juilliard, and I'm about to do a doctorate at Juilliard. So I'm very steeped in like Western classical music, your Beethoven, Bach, Mozart kind of music, but have started veering out of it. So it's sort of been an opportunity for me to try other spheres of music. It's a lot of Asian composers, a lot of Asian styles of music sort of mixed in with the traditional classical style. I do have to do a little bit of acting and I have some lines throughout it and sort of play a character in the story. And so I intentionally wanted to do something that was beyond my comfort zone and to sort of like stretch myself and try it out. And so I personally very much feel like I've just thrown myself into the hands of Abby and also Marie, our dancer, and just trusting their vision and trying to be as good of a support as I can be.
First things first, Korean represent, right? Yeah. Second thing, I got to make sure all our anyone in any of our, I guess tonight, a lot of people are going to be of Asian heritage or
so.
Tonight that's coming, right? We just got to make sure that we hide our parents from you because apparently, Oberlin and like Juilliard and like masters of this and that and like I'm like I gave up piano when I was in like 4th grade, so like.
With musicians, in a way, it's the only thing we felt like we could actually do. So it's sort of we're doing the best we can, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned something that you went to school together with Abby, but getting together for this thing was serendipitous. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think, funnily enough, I didn't play with singers as an undergrad, but while I was doing my master's here in the city, I got very into playing with opera singers, and it's kind of what I do now. And so Abby, being a wonderful singer who studied classical voice, she and I ended up running in a lot of the same circles and have a lot of like overlapping friends and colleagues, and so they kind of just linked us together, and so it just was meant to be in the end.
I'm going to pretend that because I don't know too much about classical music, opera, and that stuff. But for a second, I'm going to pretend that I know. So I know it's like there's a hunt aspect. I talked a lot about the hunger with Abby before, and so when it comes to, I guess you mentioned you might be a character. My assumption is like Phantom of the Opera. He's just the guy playing the piano background. All of a sudden, he becomes a character. That's what I'm assuming that the play was. I can be totally wrong. I've never seen it. But I could be wrong. Yeah. I don't know if that's what it is, but are you like a phantom of this opera?
I think there are phantom-like elements in the show. I myself am not really the phantom or like the specter of the show, but there are some similarities. Like in that show, the phantom is kind of voyeuristic and he kind of watches the other characters, and he's constantly watching even when he's not there. And so I think I'm the only person on stage the entire show. I'm the first on stage, and I never leave at the end. And so I kind of bear witness to everything, even when I'm not playing. And so I'm kind of like the eyes behind the scene, watching the whole thing.
Now, not to be too spoilery, but is the fact that you are somehow more than just the musical accompaniment, is that a spoiler, or is that something that's already known to the audience, or is something that we discover? I'm a guy's like, yo guys, no spoilers. So I don't know if we have to cut this or not, but.
Well, no, I think I'm the, again, first person to enter, and the first thing I do is speak. So that I'm not just a pianist from the very beginning. I think what my identity is, that does unravel and reveal itself over time. So that's more of a spoiler.
Okay. I mean, because I understand that tonight's has a lot of themes of identity and self-expression,
Yeah.
as does a lot of art, to be fair, but this in particular being a bit more intentional with that aspect. So a similar question that I asked to Abby is, a lot of musical performances or, whatever, anything in the arts, there's always like themes or patterns or things to look out for. So is there anything that you want the audience to be paying attention to?
Honestly, I do feel what you touched on is kind of what drew, I think, 4 with Eva doing lighting, women together for this project. It's a lot about sort of feeling a distance between our own identity and maybe the identity of our family or our ancestors. Like me being half Korean, half German, it's a little bit of a weird space to exist in. I just didn't really think about it growing up, but then the older I get and when I act with Koreans, I feel very white. When I interact with white people, I feel very Korean. And so a lot of it is sort of about the tension between who other people perceive us as, who we are, and like who we should be, who we shouldn't be. And so I think that tension is definitely something to sort of feel out.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Like, both my parents are Korean. Like, I'm not mixed or halfy anything. But, even then, I also experience like the perpetual foreigner syndrome, right?
Yeah.
I get a lot of people complimenting, hey, your English is really good. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it. I struggled a lot in English class when I was a kid. Not that I was bad at it. It's just I just didn't pay attention. So, but I understand that, a lot of people struggle with that sense of identity. Look, when I go to travel in Korea, I can probably blend in if I keep my mouth shut. But the moment I start speaking, they realize it and like, oh, you're not from here. And then you kind of get that otherness. So, that's definitely something that I resonate with as well. So you're in good company because, we're all, trying to process this through whatever means. And you're doing it in a sense of music. I walked in while you were practicing a few. It sounded beautiful.
Okay.
And so it's such a wonderful way to process that. I guess for anyone else that's, feeling a similar way as this, what piece of advice would you give them for any up and coming young, artists or just in general, a younger you, I guess, if she's out there, right? What advice would you give her?
Wow. That's a big question. I guess I feel different from a lot of other people in that I grew up in an area that in the Chicago suburbs where there were a lot of other Asians, and so I never felt the level of like bullying I think that some kids do who are mixed race or whose parents are immigrants or themselves immigrants. So there are certain things that I didn't have to deal with and can't speak to as much, but I guess I feel with regards to like ethnicity and identity as well as just yourself, don't worry too much about the way you're perceived by other people because it in the end is out of your control. There's nothing we can do about it. And so I think striving to be what we feel comfortable in, what we feel is the best, most good we can do is all we can do. And the perception is really out of our hands.
Right on. And if I were to add maybe one more thing, because I feel like it's illustrated through the way that you guys are all working together for tonight's performance, is that similar to a lot of things in life, you don't do it alone. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to a struggle of finding your identity, we're often, I guess, like thrown into the misconception you're supposed to do it by yourself. Yeah. But you really shouldn't. You can do it with other people that have similar walks in life. And I feel like that's kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that something like one of the themes here? Because you have an opera singer, you have a classical pianist, you have dancers, and I totally forgot about the lighting. How important that is. No. There's a fourth element here that I forgot. Yeah. And obviously we all saw the movie Fifth Element, which is love. So it all brings it all together. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to the performance here. I know I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but I'm like doing most of the talking here.
I'm enjoying this.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I really liked the last thing that you were saying, and it's actually been something I've been thinking about a lot recently and related to what I'm going to do my dissertation on, which is just I feel in life and definitely in the arts, we're very fixated on perfection, basically, and we're very hard on ourselves, like everyone is. And so I really appreciate collaborative work because it does take the onus kind of off of perfection and veers a lot more into expression and communicating and empathizing with each other in a way like an audience can feel. So I really enjoy and prefer doing collaborative work for that reason that, yeah, I feel like my goal and like intention with it and our group intention is just to really get something across rather than be perfect.
Of course. And I guess ending on that note of perfection, do you know how you get to Carnegie Hall?
You gotta practice.
Practice. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to tonight's performance.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks. All right, so we just interviewed two of the folks. We have another person here. She's going to be dancing tonight.
Hey, everybody. My name's Marie Lloyd Paspe, and I'm the dancer and choreographer of the Hunger and the Haunt tonight. And I have been dancing since 4 years old, very, very young. But I moved to New York City 13 years ago now, so I can pursue my passion in dance. And I got to meet Abby through an opera workshop that I did last year, an opera process that we were doing a experimental opera work at this venue called Here Arts. And through that week, Abby and I really got to know each other very well. And since then have been fans of each other, and she brought me in as choreographer for this work. So it's been really wonderful to, be together. And so as you know, Richard said already, I'm a dancer and I'm dancing in the work, but I'm also staging the work. So you'll see the pianist, Amber, the singer, Abby, kind of moving around stage, dancing around stage. For me, it was incredibly interesting and also very exciting to use my skill sets of spatial, physical, kinesthetic awareness in space to stretch the other performers and their disciplines to be more active in the space. And I just found it really fun to kind of play with how we can stretch each of our disciplines. Yeah.
No, it's perfectly fine. So I asked the same question for the previous two interviews. Are there any specific themes for us to follow? Now, when it comes to music, sometimes it's repetitive songs or, like a few notes here and there. But when it comes to dance, it's a little different, right? Maybe it's sometimes the same move, but sometimes it's like, because it's a very visual medium as opposed to an auditory experience. And so you're combining the two, and plus you're choreographing for both the musical accompaniment towards in the dance, because I'm not sure to what extent Abby's going to be, I guess, jumping around and doing backflips, right? I'm expecting a whole bunch of stuff now, because I didn't know she was going to be dancing too. I was like, oh, okay. All right, so what can we expect tonight, and what theme should we be looking for in terms of the dance?
Yeah, great question. Actually, Abby is an incredible dancer, and to pull that out of her and to support her movement journey through this piece has been really, really, really fulfilling for me. You'll see Abby tonight dancing with me. We have created choreography together. We're partnering together while she's singing. I'm also partnering while I'm singing. So there's a lot of exchange between dance, music, which also reminds me of this quote that is like, dancers are musicians, musicians are dancers. Musicians use their bodies to play their instruments. Dancers are rhythmic and embody the music in their instrument that is the body. So there's something really special about putting that together on the stage tonight.
Now, the singing and dancing I do is either jumping on the karaoke table or doing a Psy impersonation at like, not birthday parties, but it kind of pretty much feels like it. I'm having fun, but that's the extent of what I understand of singing and dancing at the same time, and I'm winded by that. And I know that it's a bit. I think tonight's a bit more of a modern dance mixed with opera. How does that work? I'm still trying to process what that's like, and that's piquing my curiosity. Maybe like explain what that process looks like in terms of even choreographing it. Because look, when you talk modern dance, I think like contortioning and like moving in like very interesting manners, and then the lighting like sets it up so it looks really cool. And then when you think of opera, like you gotta like have like the whole thing. Like I have cousins that actually studied opera, so I get it. Like you kind of have to use all the vocal muscles, and I'm like, okay, so how do you merge those two worlds? How does that work?
Because as a dancer and choreographer, I do sing, but I do not have opera training. And I don't also have vocal training. I'm similar to you. I'm a karaoke girl, okay? So what I have learned, especially with working with a lot of musicians, is first I study their body. So they're singing, they're playing the piano. There's a natural physical movement that's happening already when you play the piano. There's that natural sway. There's dynamics that the body does to support the piano, right? Same thing as singer. The singer is activating their muscles in a certain way and presenting their body in a certain way. But if they have to go sharp or they have to flow, there's a different kind of physicality that their bodies do to support their voice, their vocal instrument. So what we did is, okay, at first I was giving choreography, like, let's do this, let's do that. Then we realized when Abby started to sing while we were dancing that there was an issue with the choreography. There was an issue with the singing that kind of conflicted with the dancing that I was giving. So instead, mid-process, or kind of like inside the creation, we realized, no, we actually have to take an interdisciplinary approach to the creation. We have to take a step back. I have to watch Abby sing the song. And then for me, I can analyze like what Abby needs to activate her high notes, what Abby can do if she's singing lower, and then stretch her body in a way that still activates the correct singing muscles, but we can get interesting shapes between the two of us. So there is a lot of like potential capacity for partnering, for different kinds of ways Abby can move. And at the same time, because I'm dancing, choreographing around her and also with her, we can make interesting combinations together. So it was more of, you know, the feeling of like the wave, I'm guiding the water. It was that. It was very much like the musicians were showing me what they have already, and then I'm guiding how we can create that into story and physical storytelling.
A little bit that tonight is all about finding one's identity. So I don't know if this is a bit spoilery or not, but you know, you should definitely be here in person to watch this stuff, because if you were, you wouldn't see this first. You'd see the stuff, and then it wouldn't be a spoiler. It'd be like a reflection. Anyway, in terms of that, would it be fair for me to assume that maybe the play starts out and the movements they feel kind of unsure, and then towards the end, as they discover themselves, the moves become more confident, more more pronounced, or am I just like, I don't know, just overthinking it?
So that's a great thought, because actually I never thought of it like that. I more so thought of it as a trajectory of separation to togetherness. And without spoiling anything, there is togetherness that occurs physically, like we partner each other, we're doing work together, work apart. And then at the end, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's more of a energetic togetherness.
Okay.
And yeah, without spoiling too many things, you have to come to see the show. It's more of how our disconnection becomes connection again. There. Oh.
All right, I'm gonna practice this at home.
Put your chest into it.
Put my chest into it.
There we go. That was quick.
There we go. Okay, I'm gonna practice it.
Yes, I believe in
I'm gonna use it for my Bruno Mars impersonations.
You must. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the show tonight.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So there's a fourth element here that I found out throughout the interview, and I'm so sorry for not knowing and not realizing, because I used to do a lot of backstage work too. So this is on me. But for the folks at home, can you introduce yourself for the folks at home, and what your role is for tonight, which is very, very important.
Hello everybody, my name is Xuewei Eva Hu, and I am the lighting designer for the show. For full contextual background, I'm also running the media and also sound for the show. So one-person crew is how we're doing it.
That's amazing, because honestly, like doing all that stuff, it takes a lot of precision. You gotta be paying attention the entire time. Like the whole show you can make it or break it based on the lighting and the mood and all that stuff. I'm not making up. I used to do that stuff too, so I get it. I get it. It's super important. Like, what got you into this kind of work?
I actually got into lighting because of music. So when I was in middle school, I was a huge fan for like Western music, hip hop stuff, but also like K-pop stuff too. So like music is what really got me into live performances. And then when I started to go to college, I figured out, oh, there is lighting classes through the theater department. So then I basically stayed with the theater department, and then kind of like, oh, learning how to use colors and the intensity and the directions of light to tell stories. And I was like, this is something that's really powerful because you can manipulate how people think or feel about the story, just use a different color of the light, for example. So that kind of magical power got me into staying doing lighting. And here I am.
Exactly. And for the people at home that are still not convinced, you can't see the performance if there's no light. It is crazy important.
That is the most important thing, yes.
Are there any, so I know like in terms of the music and like the dancing, there are themes involved. What themes should we be looking for in the light? Because like, okay, so for the folks at home that don't understand this, when you look at color grading for movies, right? Some movies are like, there's a lot of use of blue or a lot of use of red or whatever to talk about the themes. That's a little crash course on that, or for you guys, you can look it up on YouTube. But for tonight, what themes should we be looking for, or to invoke the types of emotion? Because it is called the hunger and the hunt, and I'm like, I think for hunt maybe like purplishes and reds and maybe like dark colors. But what's hunger, and how does this play into how you've designed the lighting?
So when I think about the story, there are basically two different worlds, and then there are something that's a little bit more mysterious on a different side. So like when I think about it, how do I convey mysterious? So that's something I may lean towards more saturated color or something like that. So maybe when you see more of a saturated color, it will help you to alert, like, oh, is this where we're in a different kind of a world? That's something that I would pay attention to. And something else is like the motifs of shapes as well. So like a circle of light, it can represent a lot of things. It can be a moon, it can be a portal, it can be, anything that you can use your imagination for that connect you with what's happening on stage. So I would say I would pay attention to when color changes or when you see different shapes of light that reminds you of something that you can relate with the story.
I know they're calling you back right now, so
Absolutely.
you gotta go. But thank you so much for taking some of the time to interview with us.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the show. Is there any last things you want to say to the folks?
I think being able to do stories like this is very important, and I am very happy that I am brought on to a project like this. So I would say that I would urge more artists to, just do more passion projects. And I call something like this as a passion project because all of the artists on the show are very deeply honest about their craft and then the story that they want to tell, and that is also something that I am very passionate about as well. And like seeing how the community react to events like this makes me really happy, and I think that it's something that keeps the community going and make the connections among ourselves. So I feel like I urge the people to go see it and also urge the people to make the art like this. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
Absolutely.
and I'm looking forward to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thanks.